Where are they? We are live. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a conversation with Floyd Marshall Jr. And I am your humble host. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are joined by none other than Danita Patterson. And when I tell you this lady is multi hyphenate times 10, that is not an exaggeration. CEO, creative producer, writer, singer, actress, model, and so much more. And I'm just going to give you guys a quick backstory. I had the honor and the privilege of meeting Miss Patterson on Clubhouse a few years ago. And the one thing that I can say, and I was telling my wife this, I always talk about you. When Danita Patterson would talk, if you did not have a pen and a pad ready to go, you were missing out because every time she spoke, it was an absolute masterclass. And I learned so much from just sitting there listening. And I distinctly remember one time you were talking about contracts. And you said, well, if you can't draw up a contract at that moment, draw up a memorandum of understanding. That was the first time I had ever heard that expression. I've been in this business for a long time. I had never heard that. And I said, what is the, so I had to go Google it. I'm saying, wow, a memorandum of understanding. So that just shows you that when you listen to the right people, you can then turn around and incorporate the things that they say into your own business. And we're going to touch on that because you are my silent mentor. Didn't know it. Now you know it. But I've been talking long enough. Danita, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here.
Thank you so much, Floyd. I'm sending you a big hug through this internet, but I so appreciate your kind words, and you've always just been such a person who've honored me and honored so many others. You're a lifelong learner, and so am I. And so I think we just are kindred spirits and always wanting to learn and glean. So I'm happy to be here with your audience today.
And it took a while.
Wild. We were busy, pandemic strikes, you name it, life. But we're here today and I'm happy to be with you.
Yes, and I am so happy that you're here. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's here finally. So, a question that I always like to ask my guests is how did you get your start in the film industry?
So I am uniquely both in the film and TV industry. How I came into arts and entertainment, especially for your audience, you have such a wonderful collective of those who are emerging and those who are existing in the business. But I actually started on the stage when I was 2 years old, dancing, tap, ballet, jazz, and I professionally started getting a check when I was 14 years old. In musicals. And so I started in performing arts and musicals. I was a freshman in high school in Chicago, working literally for a play called The Stardust Review. And it was at the Kennedy King, and then it went on to the Airy Crown. And so I started in the musicals because I sang and danced. And then at age 16, I started in TV production with Central City Productions and WGN, as well as Tribune Broadcasting. And so all of that really gave me a great foundation for the entertainment industry, which caused me to shift my major because I was smart in math and science and always wanted to help people. So I thought, oh, I'll just but I was this performing arts, entertainment, Hollywood bound, Broadway bound, person and artist. But yet I was this academic who loved school and loved to help people. So it was my best friend who exposed me to her dad's production company, and he was a producer. I had never known what a producer was. And when I saw that, I knew that had something to do with my destiny. And so I did my undergrad at Northwestern University. I changed my major to radio, TV, film, and minored in broadcast journalism. And I continued to work and do internships in TV production. And I was also a professional model. So it was very unique how my academics was important, but my extracurricular, as well as my work, was continuing to shape my entire destiny to be in the industry doing what I'm doing even presently.
So you're doing all of this. You graduate from college and you moved to LA. You didn't know anyone. But
Mhm.
so now, why did you take that leap of faith? Why did you do that?
So my mom, I traveled with my mom from age 10. My mom was in corporate America. And so I went to California with her when I was 10 years old. And when we were on the plane going back, I said, Mom, one day I'm going to live here. And
Mm.
she turned to me and she said, I believe you. And I kept that in my heart, right? So now let's fast forward. I'm in college. Of course, I'm in a career now that is entertainment based. So it's a no brainer that Hollywood and California has something to do. So literally, I thought I was going to go right after college, but I ended up going and doing some more postgraduate work in the entrepreneurship area. And then I moved to Los Angeles. Didn't know anyone, had no family out there, but I utilized some of the resources from my college and asked them, do we have some alumni that are there that might be able to help me? And they said yes. They gave me about 10 names, and I did my informational meetings, which I always encourage people to do. And that led to some of the jobs that I know I'll talk to you about on this interview.
So you go to LA and you make some phone calls, you get some references, and you end up with your first job, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Now, how rare does something like that happen to someone fresh out of college?
Very rare. Very rare, but I will say, and I have to give honor to God for this. I have a lot of favor on my life, and I am a hard worker. I am diligent, and I don't really for an answer. So I'm one of those people who will knock, seek, and ask, and I'll turn over every stone. And that really was the combination that I believe helped me to land such a huge show. But I'm going to have to say something that's going to probably sound really interesting. I didn't really like sitcoms.
Mm.
And so I was drama. And so I really wanted to first start in film when I went to Los Angeles. It actually, there was mentors who told me, you better take that job. And here's why. Now, of course, I love The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to watch it. But in terms of what I wanted to work on, that wasn't my first preference. So I need to say that because it's such a fantastical, story about, oh my God, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But I truly, that wasn't necessarily, I loved made for television movies at the time. I loved, film. And so I'm going to Hollywood to work on film because you have to understand, I'd already been in TV from age 16. So now I was 23, and so I wanted to switch it up and have some other experiences because I had done a lot of syndication television and local affiliate programming. I did my internship at ABC Channel 7 in Chicago. I had a lot of experience in what I could do in this region. So I really wanted to, be in the film business. And that for me was very interesting that a television show came first, before the feature film. But that was kind of an interesting journey for me. And I wanted to tell you that because most people don't know that.
You know what's interesting, what you just said, listening to that story, there's a gentleman that I listen to by the name of Ed Milet, and he says, things don't happen to you, they happen for you.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, the thing that we're not looking to happen is actually happening, and it's the setup for what's to come.
So good. So good.
So I love that quote. I use it all the time because it is absolutely so true. But I want to switch gears a little bit because I wanted to talk about you being a creative producer, because there are so many different producers in Hollywood, but most people, when they talk about producers, the first thing they think about is an executive producer. But you're a creative producer, so can you tell us what that entails?
Absolutely. So for me, I am a writer. I am a creator. I am a visionary. So that was very important to know that about my DNA. But I'm also a producer and I am a businesswoman. So I'm right brain, left brain. So as extremely creative as I am in my right brain, I'm extremely intellectual and analytical and strategic, and business development is also a very strong gift of mine. So the producer side of me is that business side that really can understand how to deal make, how to network, how to put pieces together and connect dots and package things, as well as marketing. So that's the left brain business side. What I do, instead of, like, Shonda Rhimes is a showrunner, and so she did more the traditional path of writing, right? And so she is a writing producer. And that writing producer, she started from staff writer and worked her way all the way up the ladder, correct? So for me, I'm a creative producer who is close to content. I create content. I can write the content. What I can also do is prep the content. So I can write a treatment, even write a rough draft script, and then may even bring in other writers who may even be more veteran to then round that script out, take that to the next level. So as a creative producer, it's being around the creative process. It's really making sure that story, as well as, being able to create an idea. I'm extremely gifted in coming up with unique ideas. And not just the idea, but being able to needle that out so that you've got all kind of, okay, how does this meet society in a very unique way? What are some of the trends that this is going to hit in some kind of way? And how will this pierce the heart beyond the entertainment experience? So creatively, you're going into a world. I'm able to build worlds. I'm able to build characters, and characters that can live in a world that is very interesting to an audience, to say, wow, I see myself in that. So authenticity is very important to me, even though we work in the world of make believe. I think the more you can make it believable that you can see yourself in it, the more people can really lose themselves into the adventure, or into the drama, or into the comedy of what you're doing, and they can really experience it in a very powerful way. So a creative producer is really creating and producing elements that actually can start bringing a deal together, give you a concept, give you a script, give you a synopsis, give you a treatment, give you a marketing plan, so that then you take it over to the left brain side, to the producer side. Then you need some funding, and you need some distribution, and you need, to then start packaging this in such a way that you can bring this into reality and bring it to the marketplace.
So, Danita, that was an amazing masterclass. Rewind it, ladies and gentlemen, to listen to what a creative producer is. But with all of that, you make it sound very easy.
Hmm.
How difficult is it to put something like that together? Now, I know it's easy for you because with you being left brain, right brain,
Mhm.
how difficult is that for, let's say, the average person who may not have the type of capacity for so much thinking that you do, if
Very
I'm putting
smart.
that right?
I totally understand. And I know that sometimes some people are anomalies. None of us are better than each other. God may have given us one gift that we maximize, or two gifts, or five. But the bottom line is he wants a ROI on. If he gave you five, he wants 10, to come out of it. So I just share that to say you don't have to do it all, but master what you do know how to do very well. And teamwork makes the dream work, right? My mom has a saying, players play and teams win. So even though I just shared all that, I don't do all that by myself. I'm
Mm.
working with other people. I may be a general practitioner in certain areas and a specialist in other areas. So therefore, if, let's say, a Shonda Rhimes, if I'm partnering with her on something, right? She's the specialist in a particular area, right? I may be a generalist in that area. So I need her, but she might need me for something, right? And so that's where you need to know, are you really good at story arcs? So you may partner with someone else who may be good with the concept, and partner and write that with them, so that you really can create strong characters, a strong story, a strong world. And so sometimes, depending on if you're a writer, or if you're a director, or if you're a producer, it just depends on what lane you're in. Be strong in that area, hone your craft in that area, but also know that you're going to need other experts. I like to fly with eagles. I am not jealous of others. I'm not easily intimidated by others. I want to be with people who are either on the same level or who have surpassed what I've done, because I love to learn. I love to be stretched. I'm probably a unique being in that I like change. I'm not afraid of change. I'm not afraid of risk. I have a pretty high risk tolerance. As I get a little older, it's changing a bit. But, it's important that you understand team, because you always have a team that is helping you to do the various things that you do in your life. So I don't want anybody to think just because someone may be a multi hyphen that they don't need, J-Lo. Benny Medina. I worked with him when I was with Will Smith. He was one of Will Smith's managers. So we were part of a team. So I understood how and what we were doing for someone like Will Smith that he does for J-Lo currently. And she needs him. She respects and honors that about him because he helps her do greatly what she's doing in the marketplace. So we always need each other. There was a wise saying that one of my consultants taught me early on in my career. And he said, every leader needs a leader. Every leader needs a leader. The humility of that statement always helped me to know that no matter how high I get in anything that I may ever do in my life, I will always need a leader. I will always need other people to come alongside to show me something greater or better, to hone my craft, or to be better than I already am.
And that is such an amazing statement, because a lot of people that I follow, the Tony Robbins of the world, the Gary Vaynerchuks of the world, these men are juggernauts, but they have mentors.
Yes.
And they're at the pinnacle of their game. But I wanted to ask you about something you said. You're a risk taker.
Mhm.
And being in Hollywood, which is very risk averse, have you ever run into an issue with a project you may have wanted to do, or you've gotten some pushback because you say, hey, you know what, I think we can push the envelope to this, and they're like, well, Danita, I really don't know if that's a good idea. Have you ever run into that?
We run into that all the time. Pioneers and trailblazers are always getting we've never done that before. Here's my answer. Why not? Why not? And sometimes people are afraid of the unknown because they don't know what they don't know, right? I'm not afraid of that. Why? Because I love to learn and I'm an adventurer. So whether it's in business, whether it's in life, whether it's in relationship, I am very curious. My mom bought me a book series when I was a kid on Curious George. Curious and George and I were very similar because learning and risk taking just means you're just doing something that somebody else didn't have the courage to do. There's a word that comes with risk taking that I took for granted and didn't realize how much of it I had. And that is the word courage.
Mhm.
Many times you just need courage just to give something a try, and courage to even boldly suggest something to an executive. Suggest, well, I know that this is how you've been doing this, but have you considered? So when we think of Pixar, Disney was Disney, and it was literally a monopoly. But then Disney started having some market share that was being taken away because other animation companies were coming into play and they were eating away at their market share. Well, Pixar came with a whole different model. And Pixar was not owned by Disney at the time. But Pixar, with Finding Nemo and all these other powerful animation things that came out, all of a sudden Disney's looking over at Pixar and saying, who is this new kid on the block? And so the new kid on the block ended up doing so well that the new kid on the block actually joined the older kid on the block. And so now Disney owns that. But I'm sharing that to say, be the new kid on the block. Because this is one of the important tips that I can share with any business owner or as well as anyone who is an employee. Always have your eye on the next thing. You may be working on the thing right now, but always have your eye on the next innovation. That's what hurts companies. When I think about companies like Apple, who has been able to stay ahead of the game in a lot of ways, it's because they may be on iPhone 6 or 7, but they're thinking about iPhone 13 when they're on iPhone 6. And so we hurt ourselves when we're only thinking about the temporal and the now. We're not thinking about the eternal and the next and the next and the next. And so that's something that has really helped me in business as well as in my creativity. Sometimes I'm ahead of time to be on time. And that can be frustrating because you have to wait for a market to actually be built sometimes for the technology or for the innovation or for the creative idea that may need you to have some other elements in place for you to be able to sell that through to the market.
So do you think that with most people who aren't forward thinking in that way, do you think it's because it's an element of fear that if I think that far ahead and it doesn't happen, I'm a failure?
I think the word fear, fear is false evidence appearing real. Fear gets in a lot of people's way. So if you have fear, it's real. You can feel the nervousness of something, but if you move past it, many times you will realize it's not as debilitating as you may have allowed it to be at one point in your life. And so for me, I think you cannot be in this industry and allow fear to paralyze you. The competition is too great. You have to move forward and do things because you have so many people who are going for the 10 spots that's there if you're in a job. And so, what is going to make you look different, be different? What are you offering that someone is going to say you out of the 10? And that may be a risk you may take. You may ask a question that someone else may not ask. For instance, people often ask me this because they're enamored by my beginnings of working on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The way my job came about with Will Smith was I asked him a question that other people would have been afraid to ask him because this is Will Smith. He's the star of the show. I said, Will, one day I'm going to be in multiple aspects of the media, and you're the closest thing to that. I'd love to sit down and have an informational meeting with you. He said, sure. We sat down. He learned my background and my experience that I had from Chicago that I was bringing to Los Angeles. He heard me want to do more in the area of development. I wanted to be closer to story and not just the production side of things. And 2 weeks later, he approached me and asked, how would you like to work for me? And I said, it depends. He said, it depends. I said, yeah, because see, I was a woman on a mission, when I came to Los Angeles, and I knew that I needed things to feed into the larger picture of things that I wanted to do in my future. And so we literally crafted a job together, and I wrote the job description for what I ended up working and doing for Will Smith as his administrative manager and his director of development for his first production company.
You said something that was so spot on, and I want people to not have missed what you said. You asked, and so often people miss an opportunity because they won't ask.
Mm-hmm.
And I've found that oftentimes people in positions like Will Smith, a Blair Underwood, or whoever, they're actually waiting for someone to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I've found that.
Yeah.
So can you speak to that? The fact that when you moved to LA, you asked,
Mm-hmm.
who do you know? When you spoke to Will Smith, you asked.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone that is just coming into this business, and but I want to also say that know when to ask.
Yes,
So
yes.
can you talk about that?
Yeah, so the ask. And here's what's interesting. I'm going to talk about the ask then and the ask now. So it's important to be if you want an opportunity, you need to be prepared for it. There's a quote, it's best to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So I want to say before you ask, be prepared. And so, but don't be afraid to ask. All someone can say is no. And if they say no, then you go to the next person. So asking Northwestern, do you have 10 people do you have people that I can talk to? They gave me a list of 10, not one, but 10. Out of those 10, 3 of them ended up really being a resource to really help me get to the next person and connect the next person. What happened is, as one person was in the meeting with me, they would get on the phone and call someone else and ask, can you meet this young lady? You need to hear what she has to say. I would meet that person. They would pick up the phone. Can you meet this person? You need to talk with her. That went all the way up through one of my mentors to this day, June Baldwin, that led me to Winifred Hovey Stallworth, who was the executive producer of Fresh Prince, at the time. And that ask led into that particular job, right? So yes, you have to ask, but you have to be prepared and you have to show up. When the door opens, it's not time for you to, I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I believe be it until they see it.
Mm.
That's a quote that I've created. So if you if you are being who you are, they will see who you are, because you're already something, even though you're on your way to becoming even more, right? So that ask was on the front end. I have to ask to this present time, whether I'm working on a $10 million deal, a $30 million deal, I have to ask a financier. I have to ask a distributor. I have to ask, an actor or an actress. You're always asking. So we have to get comfortable with asking. And we have to be comfortable that rejection does not mean that what you have is bad or wrong. It just means it may not be the right fit for that person or for that company.
Wow. So let's talk about relationships because they've played a very important role in your career.
Yes.
And something that you mentioned that really stuck out to me was relational equity.
Yes.
Can you talk about that because that was phenomenal?
So I have learned in my life and wisdom that God has given me so graciously that equity is not just money. Currency is not just money. And that's the mistake that we make, because we know how to spend money and we know how to lose money and gain money. But we do not understand that there is a currency and an equity called relationships. And if you don't spend them well, you will lose them. And if you do spend them well, you will gain them. And so for me, Los Angeles is very transactional. Now, I'm a Midwesterner girl who just happens to work in Hollywood. This is my 32 anniversary. March of this year is my 32 anniversary of being in Los Angeles. But I'm bi-coastal, so I spend a portion of my time in Chicago and a large portion in Los Angeles. But relational equity is really understanding that you are valuable to me, not for me to use you, but for me to interact and to interrelate with you in a way that your destiny intersects with my destiny. So we met on Clubhouse almost 4 years ago or 3 years ago. And now here we are having an opportunity to bless and to speak with other people. That comes from the relational equity that you and I built over this period of time. And we're spending some of that equity on people who are listening to your podcast today, right? It's because we valued what we were doing in our interaction with each other. Now, there are a number of people who have come in my life to just use me. They
Mm.
see something they want, they're a taker. They're not reciprocating and they're not giving back. Now, because I'm generous, I may want to give to them because I don't want them to fall in that ditch that I can see very clearly that they can't. But while they think they're taking from me, I'm giving to them because I'm in this industry for way more than money. I'm here to make meaning, make money while making great impact. And so because I'm here as a steward that God called into this industry, I didn't just call myself into this. This is part of my purpose and my destiny. I value people because people actually become the projects. They push the projects forward that we're producing. And they're the people who I have to interface with and care about their well-being if I even care about my project being done. So relational equity is something that we have to value as much as we value our money, because people help us to make the money that some people are after. But people are really, they're really the purpose.
Mhm.
So I like to say that business is a storefront for what God wants to do in the lives of people. So you're on that set for 6 months, 3 months, 6 weeks. It's the experience you're having with those people that's making the magic that ends up on the screen. And so that's why when we just use people, abuse people, and just think that they're only there to advance us, but not a larger purpose that we all are advancing together, it really allows there to be just such a transactional industry that some people experience, as opposed to relationships that I have to this day that are so valuable because we have literally done life together with each other and make has been meaningful for society over decades.
Wow. So listening to you, I'm going to skip a couple of questions because what you just explained goes to foundation.
Hmm.
So I want to ask you about your mom and your dad, because you don't come to where you are now and your the way you think and what you just explained without having a good foundation. And you had a pretty phenomenal relationship with mom and dad. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. The pride and joy, I don't take it lightly, and I appreciate God, and I'm ever grateful every day for solid parents. And to anyone who might be a parent or a future parent, I just tell you that is one of the most precious jobs that God can give us in our lives. Even if you don't have biological children and you're a godparent, be present. My parents loved me so much and they believed in me so much that it really allowed me to be a multi hyphen who could really explore all the different aspects of my gifts and my talents. And they poured their best into me so that I could pour my best into those who I am serving in this time in my life. Having a mom and a dad who really saw gifts in me and put me in ballet, put me in tap, jazz, gymnastics, modeling, all these different things, and who drove me to, classes and this or that, that presence really, and the love of a parent really cocooned my dreams and cocooned my ability to imagine and to believe that anything was possible. They also exposed me to things that I otherwise would not have ever been exposed to. And so, career exposure, life exposure, being around, I'm not a respecter of persons. And that's because I've been around a lot of people who we deem as great.
Mhm.
But my parents taught me that I was great. My parents taught me that I was special. So I respect people. I respect the specialness in another person, and I respect the greatness in another person, but I don't want to be another person. I want to interact with them. I want to be inspired by them. I want to learn from them or teach them, and for them to be inspired by me. But my parents taught me that we all put our pants on the same way. And so, respect who you are and command that respect. And don't allow, whether it's a man, I work in an industry where I have pretty much 90% worked a lot with men and 20% with women. And so I really haven't had a lot of issue with men trying to dummy me down or whatever, because you know why? I have something that they need.
Mhm.
When I show up, I may have the answer that you need. I may have the solution. I may have the strategy. So therefore, because I come with something greater than I'm a female or greater than I'm an African American, I'm a person who has value and I'm bringing that value. And my parents really taught me self-worth. And having a father in my life who, my father's no longer with us. He passed away in 2019, but his identity and his love for me was always safe. And having a mom who, literally modeled a lot of the business acumen that I have to this day, it taught me that anything was possible. And so even as an African American little girl, going to the Sears Tower where my mom worked, on the 67th floor, with these big, technology machines and mainframe, IBM mainframe, it allowed me to look around and say, wow, this is possible.
Mhm.
And so something that could be unfamiliar to someone else became familiar to me. And it allowed me to know that anything was possible.
Mhm.
I give tribute to my parents whenever I can because they really set a strong foundation for me, along with the mentors and along with their friends and other people who sewed into me because they saw something in me so that I could give that back. So that's why I give back to the next generation, because to whom much is given, much is expected and required.
Well, before we move on to our next set of questions, I just wanted to let you know that KL is here.
Hey.
She said, I'm so excited about this conversation with the great Danita Patterson. I concur. And Social Collab Academy is
Oh,
here as
wow.
well. Be it until you see it. I love this amazing woman, Danita E. Patterson. So yeah, you have some fans besides myself in the building. Um, you're a natural leader. Did you learn your leadership style
Hmm.
by being a good follower?
Yes, every leader must know how to be a servant. I'm a servant leader. I one of my biggest mentors is Jesus. I read this book years ago called Jesus CEO, and it literally translated some of the characteristics of leadership that you would see in him as a disciple,
Mhm.
and it translated that into the business world. And so not only, him, but so many others that I've worked for, that I look at leaderly abilities in other people, and I know how to follow. Now I'm a leader who follows. So many times when I was in working for someone else and doing a project with someone else, I'm leading in that project, but I'm leading in the area of my sphere of influence that that leader may be trusting me with. And so I'm not trying to take their job. I'm adding value to the team. So I love sports. So when we think about basketball or football, we've got the leader, the quarterback, if you will, is the leader, but he needs a running back. He needs linemen. So everybody has to do their job, and they have to lead well in their position and function. So for me, that's what I learned how to do. And every single, whether I was consulting for a company, whether I was producing on a project, whether I was the PA on a project, whether I was the associate producer, the audience coordinator, whatever function I had in that particular job, I knew how to lead well in my sphere of position and influence that would also make the leader look good, but the team win.
So, with being a leader, because I want to talk to you about notes. So being the leader, sometimes you're going to get notes and you're going to give them.
Yes.
But I was listening to the interview that we talked about earlier, and you have a very unique approach to how you give notes. And I thought that was very interesting because oftentimes when you hear people give notes, it's just here's the note,
Mhm.
but you don't do that.
Mm, yeah. So for me, because I love people, my job is not to break people down.
Mhm.
The one thing that I take note with Hollywood is a lot of times people are so arrogant that they need to make someone else feel bad in order to make themselves feel good. I don't need that, right? So because I don't need that, if I need to tell you that something you've written doesn't work, I'm going to find a way to not only tell you that doesn't work, but I'm actually going to nuance and say, have you considered twisting it this way? Or if the character actually moved in this way or said something of this nature with this tone or this sentiment, it might play better than what you were thinking. I don't want, because I'm a learner, I want to make sure that they can learn from the note. And if they learn from the note, then they may actually have a bigger lesson other than them trying to get this one scene correct, right? It might be something that changes their writing edge or their writing voice forever. So I don't want to destroy a person. I want us all to learn and grow in some kind of way so we can be better from the notes. And I may not be able to use it because our industry is about it either works or it doesn't. Now you can massage it as clay and you can try to see how you can, get it to the place where maybe it is going to work, but sometimes it just doesn't. But I don't have to have a person who's bleeding and walking away because I've slashed them to pieces. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what I think is like horrible. Like people talk to people any kind of way. I was 24 or 23 years old, and I was working as an event producer on a television special because I cut my teeth on TV specials, award shows, all of that starting out. And there was a talent executive who was extremely arrogant and rude, and he was just cutting everybody up, right? And I remember he came and said, Danita, I need X, Y, and Z. And he said it in this very rude way. And I said, no, you're not getting it. And I said it just like that. And he stopped. I said, no, you're not getting it. He was like,
Okay.
you know, and I said, you don't have to talk to me like that. I'm here because I want to be here. I love what I do, and I'm going to do it very well. So if you need something from me, you don't have to talk to me like if I'm some rebellious, disobedient, not wanted, lazy person. I'm here because I love what I do and I want to give excellence. And he was like, I'm so sorry. I'm just stressed. He was eating out of my hand. People were sending me to deal with him because they were afraid of him. But I just, so for me, and me loving people, I don't want to tear them down. I don't want to be torn down either. So I give respect, but I expect that respect as well.
I know that's right. So you are an absolute force in this business. And I want to hone in on the word business because oftentimes creatives just want to create, but they don't really think about the business aspect of this. And again, listening to your interview, you went back to school to learn business
Mhm.
because you wanted to. Well, why did you go back to school to learn business?
So for me, we are in an industry that's called show business. And I had the show. I'm a natural talent. I'm a natural, drama, comedy, that's just natural gifts. But it's a business. And so if I don't understand the business side, and we're automatic entrepreneurs, no one tells us that, but we're independent contractors. And so independent contractors are automatic entrepreneurs once you say you want to be an artist and you want to come into this industry like this. So for me, I took entrepreneurial courses at Chicago State. I went and graduated from USC's entrepreneurial fast track program in the School of Marshall, the School of Business. I went back and took classes in the School of in Kellogg at my alma mater, Northwestern, because I needed to understand the finance. I needed to understand the marketing. I needed to understand business plans, strategy, business development, trends, how things play into society, understanding national and international markets, because this industry is a large industry and it makes billions of dollars. And if we just think we can be artsy fartsy without impacting the bottom line or paying attention to the bottom line, that puts us in a place of ignorance and a lack of knowledge. And I don't want to have a lack of knowledge when I'm dealing with 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, $100 million budgets. And when ultimately I want to run a studio and have a studio where this content is impacting international markets, I need to understand the business of that and the business of overseeing other people who are working with me, and that I'm working for someone else. Even if every person I've worked for, whether it was Disney, whether it was Sony, whether it was NBC, whether it was a production company that Blair Underwood or Will Smith, whoever I worked for, I understood that they were a business and they had a bottom line and they had outcomes that they needed to reach. I wanted to help them reach those outcomes and those results, which helped me to be able to hone my business skills within an environment. When you sow in another person's company or business, God can bless you with your own, and he can bless you to expand and to be able to be a steward over something even greater. And that's what I'm experiencing even right now in my career.
So let's talk about both of your companies, Destiny Unlimited and Destiny Outreach,
Mhm.
because they sound Like both of them are absolutely amazing. So why did you decide that you wanted to have your own production company? And then with the nonprofit, what made you go in that direction?
Okay. So when I was a junior in college, I was in a class called Blacks in Media at Northwestern University. And here I am reading this book, learning about Oscar Michelle, learning about other people who owned studios, who owned production companies, who owned radio stations. And I'm like, wow, you know, I didn't know this. And I said, one day I would like to own a business, a media company. And I literally sat in that class and felt myself kind of go to the future. And I saw myself in the future and then kind of came back to the present and held that in my heart. So I knew that while I was working with and for other people on a parallel track, I was literally building Destiny Unlimited. I was
Mhm.
building the content, a slate of film, a slate of TV, animation, so many things that I'm now literally bringing to the market now are things that have been a part of honing the business while I was working with and for other people. And so I always knew that I wanted to be a business owner. Entrepreneurship runs in my family. My mom was an incredible example of that. And in seeing that, it really helped me to know creative ownership for me is key. I don't just want a job. I want a career and I want to create industries and I want to create opportunities and create economies. So business taught me the business of what we're in, right? So that's what Destiny Unlimited. It's a family entertainment company that literally works in the area of family entertainment, faith-friendly entertainment, as well as positive inspirational programming. And like I shared, we do that in TV, film, animation, and my music is tied into the soundtracks. So building that business allowed a multi-gifted talent like myself to be able to house my talents in my house of destiny. And so that's really, where Destiny Unlimited is because my destiny is unlimited. And then, as I shared a little earlier, to whom much is given, much is required and expected. So for me, Destiny Outreach, I knew when I was 10 years old that I would have a nonprofit organization one day. Because as you asked me questions about my parents, Floyd, I really knew that even that young, that everyone did not have parents like mine and that this was a gift and it was for something even bigger than myself. And I would go sometimes to hospitals. My mom would take me to hospitals and I would see kids who were less fortunate than me. And I would be there in holiday seasons to bring some cheer to them because they couldn't get out of the hospital. I tapped. So I would go to senior homes and I would tap for them and I would sing for them. And so I always had this heart for people who were forgotten or for people who might be in a situation that I was not in. And so I knew that I wanted to create a safe haven for other youth and kids to dream as I was able to dream because I had a safe haven of love to dream in. So fast forward, at age 30, I founded Destiny Outreach with the help of a number of mentors who saw something in me and said, your time is now. You can't wait until you're 50 to start this organization. And so Destiny Outreach works with teens 12 to 17 and 18 to 35 plus, helping them to realize their ultimate potential in life, school, and work. And we expose them to careers in entertainment, technology, and business. Because had I not been exposed to the entertainment that I was exposed to in high school, I could have ended up being a doctor who might not have been able to all of the multiplicity of my gifts and talents in the way that my human development is really the doctor part of me that wanted to help people live their dreams and destiny in the way that I am living mine and continuing to unfold it.
So with your nonprofit, how or have you seen firsthand what just paying attention to someone who otherwise might have just been pushed to the side? Have you seen the impact of sitting in a room with executives from a Disney or a Sony and them saying to them, "Hey, this is something that you can do yourself." What has the impact on those young people? What has that been like?
So it's interesting. Just last year, we were working with the Evanston Skokie School District in Chicago. Evanston is also where Northwestern is, and there was a young man who was a part of the program, but he was sat to the side by some of the administrators because I guess maybe he might have been known to be disruptive. Well, on one of the breaks, I was actually bothered by that, to be honest with you, because I literally create round table or rectangular tables so that there is a cohesiveness of feeling because I'm a feeler. And so when I walk in that room, I want to impact every destiny that's in that room. So I kept feeling his detachment because of his placement. And so I went over to him and I sat down with him. And in 5, 10 minutes, I told him, I asked him some questions and began to tell him, oh, well, this is what that means. He is interested in actually doing online financing. So in 5 minutes, I asked him enough questions to find that he first said, oh, I don't know what I want to do. I started asking him questions. Suddenly, I put pieces together and he said, that's what I would love to do.
Mm.
And so I made meaning for him, but I saw him and I heard him. And then I regurgitated some things back to him and then expanded his mind into some possibilities. And that same young man went to some of the other administrators and started telling them what he wanted to do. So now he was empowered and clarified in his vision to speak in a different way. So now people can help and bring resources to him in a different way because he now knows this is what I want to do, or I want to do something in this particular area. So I have seen that. I have seen people go from getting knowledge and information to be able to clarify and say, oh, I want to go into the entertainment industry, but actually I don't want to be on camera. I want to be a publicist. I want to be an entertainment lawyer. I want to be an accountant. I want to be a business manager. And so I've been able to show some of the offbeat path. What is it? That things that are off the beaten path. That's what I'm trying
Right.
to say. Where you're like, oh, I didn't even know that existed, but my skill sets align with that particular career. So we want to make sure that in entertainment, in the area of business and technology, that there's a plethora of jobs that especially the BIPOC community who are so gifted in so many ways, they're just not these job opportunities. If we can give them the career exposure through Destiny Outreach, as well as unlock their destiny and allow them to know their who so that they can get to their do, then we know that we've done some things to make the world a better place.
And that is so beautiful because oftentimes when we say, oh, these kids are troubled or they're this and they're that, oftentimes they don't have direction.
Truth.
And that's all they need because they have so many things swirling around in their heads and they just need someone to say, okay, you know what? Let's settle that down and let's steer you in a particular direction. Just as you said, the young man, well, I don't know what I want to be, but you being more experienced, well, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask you this, I'm going to ask you this, I'm going to ask you this. And then he's sitting there saying, well, you know what? I had all of that running around in my head. I just didn't know how to articulate it.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to line it up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, it was
Yeah.
5, 3, 2, 1, whatever. That is absolutely amazing. But I'm not going to keep you that much longer. I just have a couple more questions, but this has been so absolutely amazing. But Dre Buchanan is here. He said great dialogue.
Hey, Dre.
Donna Marie is here.
Oh,
So, you know,
yeah.
it's just a family reunion. Hey guys,
It is a family reunion. We support each other. Can I say something?
please.
Destiny Outreach has a phrase we coined, dream keepers. And I came up with that because I said, how can you keep the dreams of others when you're not keeping your own? And so it's important when you just named my friends who are here, we dream keepers to each other. We support each other. All of them are successful in their own right. So to your audience, I want to say, no matter how big you get in your life, you're always going to need people who can encourage you, people who can celebrate you, and people who you encourage and who you celebrate, because people need people. And so I thank them for being here. And I've been, when they're shining, and I bring my shine to their shine, or my wind to their wings. And we do the same for others. And there's so many people in my life and in their lives that do that. But dream keepers are key. So I just need to give a shout out and say, shout out dream keepers.
Yes, yes, yes. That is absolutely amazing. Such an amazing group of people. It's a privilege to call you guys my friends. But there is the one question that I wrote down, and I just, you are so authentic. And I see that it is very important to you. And when I was listening to another interview you did, you talked about Hollywood being a place where your identity
Mm.
can be stolen, but not in the way that people think.
Right.
So can you talk about that? Because I'm sure that there will be some young people listening to this.
Mhm.
And the way you explain it was so phenomenal. I'd like for you to talk about that, because I think that's so very important for any young person deciding that this is the line of work that they want to get into.
Absolutely. Thank you. So for me, I have learned in the 32 years of being in Los Angeles that there is an identity theft that is going on in California, specifically in our industry of Hollywood. And what I mean by that is, I feel like if you don't know who you are when you come to LA, there's someone there to tell you, I'm going to make you a star. I'm already a star. I'm already shining in God's firmament and brilliantly bring forth my light. So you can't make me something that I already am. Now, you might be able to help reposition me, but you can't make me, because I'm already who I am. Most people don't know that. A lot of people come from different parts of the world and the country to become something in Los Angeles, and to be somebody sometimes who they're running from who they were. And they're trying to make a whole new identity for themselves. My goal, even through Destiny Outreach, is you have a purpose and a destiny that when breath was breathed into you, you came here for a purpose. What is that purpose? So even if you don't know it yet, let's get to the treasures and to the diamonds and the rubies and the onyx that's already on the inside. And so I don't want to plumage that. I want to make sure that we can excavate that, to bring that out so that you can know your own value, as opposed to someone else prostituting your value. Los Angeles, it's a town of dreams, but it's a town of a lot of people who will also use people to get something, to get them further. And that will strip someone else's identity to give them an identity. But the key thing is, I tell people, if you don't know who you are and you don't have some sense of why you're coming to Los Angeles, it may not be time for you to come yet. I was sent. I didn't. Some people were sent, and some people just went. I was sent. So even when the hard times came, I was built to last in Los Angeles. Identity is something we all have, but we all have to put the work in to excavate that and to begin to craft that. And for me, I am a woman of faith, and God helped me along with the resistance training and the opposition, as well as the victories, because with success and with new opportunities come new responsibilities. And so that also grew me, right? But my prayer for the younger generation is, don't want to be someone else. I don't want you to be someone else. I don't want you to be me. I don't want you to be I don't want you to be an idol. I want you to be who you are, because the greatness is in us being who we are. And in us being who we are and honing our craft and knowing how to do what we do with excellence and being able to be 10 times greater than somebody else, because we're just showing up, getting it done, working hard, bringing ingenuity, bringing innovation. When we do that, other people can be inspired by us. You don't even have to be jealous, just be inspired, because it's something in you that I don't have. And I need you and you need me. And together we can do great things together. So that's really my hope for the next gen. I always tell them when they come and say, Miss Danita, I want to be just like you. I don't want you to be just like me. I want you to be just like you. Because one day you're going to be in a position and we may be working together. So the very person that you're idolizing and putting on a pedestal may be the very person that you may be giving a job to, or opening an opportunity to, or bringing the underwriting and the funds to. So we just have to keep things in right perspective, that we're just as great as some of the people that we're seeing. We just have to put the time in to hone that greatness.
Wow. Wow. That was absolutely amazing, but you're so right. Why would you want to be someone else? There are 8 billion people on the planet. There's only one you.
Only one
Can
you.
nobody be you? Can nobody be you like you? The uniqueness of that is amazing. But this has been unbelievable, beyond my wildest expectations. One more question.
Mhm.
What's next?
What's next? So why have I been traveling so much between Chicago and Los Angeles like a mad woman? Then I need some rest. So I literally have two unscripted shows that I am in the throes of with our financiers, as well as two scripted shows and a movie. As I shared, I have a slate of TV and a slate of film. And I'm excited that I'm working with my hometown, Chicago. So I've been bringing some of the gifts and the talents and the experience that I've had in Los Angeles and bringing and supporting my hometown in some unique ways as we're building a Midwest Hollywood. And so I am not only rolling out content, film, and TV, but I also am a part of infrastructure builds with a studio that I shared with you as part of my dream. I'm working on that as well. And
Oh,
so, yes.
wow.
So you heard it here. It's an exclusive. So, so yes, it has truly been a time as I'm getting a little older. I am looking at my legacy work. At Destiny Outreach, we have a phrase and a teaching. What's your DVD? What's your dream? What's your vision? What's your destiny? But then we say that leads to your legacy. And so legacy is not just what you'll be doing when you're deceased, but legacy is being a living legacy. So I'm in the fullness of my destiny season that is also leaning into my legacy season. So I'm building for the future while I'm rolling out the present and the things that God wants me to do. So it's a very exciting time where I am a brand. I'm an inspirational brand as a thought leader, impacting humans, but also as a producer, writer, and creator. This is a time where the content that I've been honing in development is coming into production. And that's really, really exciting because I've worked on so many other people's projects that now to see how people are responding to what I've created in the cave, and that's coming at the right time. Timing is everything. We're coming out of a pandemic. We're in a time where we've got wars and we've got so much that's happening in people's lives where hope and light, is failing for a lot of people. So I'm bringing that light. I'm bringing that hope. I'm bringing feel good entertainment that's entertaining, inspiring, and empowering, where you can take it off the screen into your real life and impact others, as well as you can take the outreach work that I do. And so if people want to follow me, all my handles are Danita Patterson, Danita Destiny Patterson on Facebook, IG, my YouTube, You're Inspiring Me. I'm now going to start using it even more now that more of my content is going to be coming forth on the entertainment side, but also on the inspirational side. So it's just a really incredible time where we're coming out of the shadows. We're coming out of obscurity. We're coming from behind the scenes, having done this for so many others. Now it's our turn and it's our time.
Well, I am extremely excited about everything that's coming up, and you just gave me an excuse to fly to Chicago when your studio is built. I'm there for the opening, the grand opening. I'm there for the party. I'm there for everything.
All of it, all of it. And for those who are, I just want to say this caveat for my hometown. I'm actually having to fly back faster, back to my home in Los Angeles, because Illinois is now coming to Hollywood next week, because we're doing the clarion call to think about Illinois and Chicago to shoot. And so the governor, as well as all of our studios here and many of our Illinois Production Alliance and the Illinois Film Office, is basically doing outreach to say, this is what we have to offer. And so I'm a part of that as one of the stakeholders here. And so this is a dream come true to be able to connect both my hometowns and of course my native hometown, Chicago, to this incredible emerging moment that's happening, and to see them coming out there, and I can, literally be a part of seeing, this reality come into existence, is just powerful to be a part of it.
Wow, this is so exciting. I'm so excited for you, and I'm so happy for you because you've really worked hard and laid so much groundwork for everything that is now bearing fruit for you. So I'm so extremely happy for you. And again, it is such a privilege to call you a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an absolutely amazing hour and 5 minutes. If you have not been inspired, then you have not been listening. But I would highly recommend that you go and listen to this when you can, because so many gems were dropped by Miss Patterson. It's just amazing. And, it was an absolute privilege being able to sit and speak with you for an hour. And ladies and gentlemen, if you like the show, please share it with your friends, because Danita, again, she just talked about so many amazing things that could actually help you in your career, in your business. Because as she said earlier, you are a solo entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So you want to do things, and you want to follow people, and you want to listen to people that can actually help you make your business better. So on that note, make sure that you are following Danita. Danita, please give those social media handles one more time.
Okay, so it's Danita Destiny Patterson on IG, and then Danita Patterson on all the other socials, as well as on my LinkedIn. It's Danita Patterson. So thank you so much for this time. I just want to share with you, I am so proud of what you are doing, where you really are making a place and a space for next gen and for existing leaders and artists and professionals to grow and to really be able to know what this business is, what it takes to be in this business. And thank you for highlighting me today. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been an absolutely amazing episode. Again, if you like it, share it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I would love to bring you more phenomenal guests such as Danita Patterson. And Danita, you are definitely going to have to come back.
I'm going to do
Uh,
it.
we want to make it work a little bit better than it has for
Yes, it
for
won't
the
be
last.
long periods, but we won't be in a pandemic, thank God.
Right,
So,
right, right. But again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the conversation with my amazing, phenomenal, multi-hyphenate, multi-talented guest that is just so amazing, Danita Patterson. And I will end my show the way I end them all. Love this like a hobby, but please treat it like a business.
come on.
And on that note, everyone, have a phenomenal, phenomenal night. Peace.
Have a good night.
All right.